Listen, not just with your ears, but with every fiber of your being. This is not a whisper, not a gentle nudge. This is a roar, a summons for you to wake up. They told you it was over, didn't they? That your story had reached its final page? They said the book was closed, locked and sealed, and they made sure to write the ending in ink so thick you thought it could never be rewritten. But let me tell you something. Ink dries, but the fire inside you burns hotter. This is not the end. This is the moment you take back the pen. For too long, you've lived as a footnote in someone else's story, a supporting role in the saga of your own life. They painted you into the background, made you a shadow in your own light, a murmur in your own storm. But I'm here to tell you something. The shadow only exists because the light is there. The storm, it's your storm. You've carried it, weathered it, survived it, and now it's time to wield it. This isn't just another chapter, no. This is the turning point, the pivotal moment when the tide shifts, when the broken pieces stop being rubble and start becoming something unshakable. But here's the thing about turning points. They don't wait for you. They don't sit patiently at the door tapping lightly. No, they crash through the walls, demanding to be faced, daring you to rise. And rise you must, because this is your story, and no one else is going to write it for you. You've been walking around with your head down, haven't you? Carrying the weight of every word, every doubt, every scar they left on you. I see it, I feel it. You've been dragging yourself through the days thinking this is all there is, but it's not. That's the lie they want you to believe. That's how they keep you small, keep you quiet, keep you chained to the idea that you are less than you are, but you're not less. You're more. More than they ever imagined, more than they ever wanted you to believe. Take a moment, breathe. Do you feel it? That faint flicker inside you, that ember buried beneath the ashes, it's still there. They tried to snuff it out, but it refused to die. That ember is your power. It's waiting for you to fan it, to breathe life into it, to let it consume the lies they fed you. That ember is the truth. You were never meant to be broken. They thought they could define you with their words, their actions, their neglect. But here's the truth they'll never admit. They don't hold the power to define you. Only you do. And right now, in this moment, you get to decide, are you going to let their version of your story stand, or are you going to rewrite it? Because here's the thing about stories. They evolve. Even the greatest epics begin with hardship. The hero never starts on top of the mountain. No, they begin in the valley, in the shadows, in the dirt. And that's where you are right now, isn't it? You're in the dirt. But dirt isn't just where things end. It's where things begin. Seeds grow in dirt. Foundations are laid in dirt. It's not the grave they want you to believe it is. It's your starting point. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to rise? Not for anyone else, not for their approval or applause, but for you. For the person who's been screaming in silence, begging to be seen, to be heard, to be free. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because every second you spend waiting for someone else to save you is a second stolen from your own salvation. It won't be easy. And let's get that straight right now. Reclaiming your power, rewriting your story, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel like tearing out pages from a book you thought was finished. But those pages, they're not your story. They're someone else's version of it. Rip them out, burn them if you have to, and start fresh. This is the beginning of your ascent, and let me tell you, when you rise, they will see it. The ones who doubted you, who mocked you, who thought they had broken you, they'll watch as you turn their doubts into your strength. They'll see you transform the ruins into a fortress so strong, it will echo with your triumph, long after you're gone. But you don't do this for them. You do this for you, for the person you see in the mirror, for the child inside you who once believed in impossible things, for the future self who will thank you for fighting, for rising, for refusing to stay down. So, are you ready? Ready to grab that pen, to carve your story into the stone of history, to show the world and yourself that you are unbreakable? This is the moment you decide. This is the moment you take back your power. Because they tried to break you, but they didn't know. They were only giving you the tools to build. And now, it's time to build. The story starts now. You've walked through fire. Not once, not twice, but so many times you've lost count. And the flames, they don't just vanish, do they? They cling to you, wrapping around your skin like invisible chains, burning long after the blaze has died. You look at your reflection and don't see yourself anymore. All you see are the scars they left behind. Some are faint, almost invisible, but you know they're there. Others, they're jagged and raw, impossible to ignore. They scream your story, even when you've been too afraid to speak it aloud. You've felt betrayal, haven't you? The kind that cuts deeper than any knife. It wasn't just the words they said, it was the ones they didn't. The promises they broke, the moments they let you fall when they swore they'd catch you. Maybe it was the friend who turned their back when you needed them most. Maybe it was the family member who should have been your protector but became your greatest source of pain. Maybe it was the world itself whispering in your ear every day that you're not enough, that you'll never be enough. You've carried losses so heavy they've bent your spine, weighed down your soul. Losses of people, of dreams, of pieces of yourself you thought you'd never lose. You've stood in the rubble of a life you tried to build, watching it crumble, brick by brick, powerless to stop it. You've tried to scream, but no sound came out. You've tried to fight, but your arms felt too weak to lift, and so you stood there, still and silent, as the world continued to take. Let's talk about the villains in your story. They're not just the obvious ones, the people who hurt you, belittled you, ignored you. They're the shadows that creep into your mind when the world gets quiet. Fear, doubt, shame. They're the whispers that tell you to stay small, to stay broken, to stay hidden. They're the voices that replay every mistake you've ever made, every time you fell short, every moment you weren't enough. And the idea is obvious enough. The more weak and more crazy you believe, and the more deeply you resist changing, the harder you fight against it. Fear is a liar, but it's convincing, isn't it? It tells you that stepping forward will only lead to more pain, that trying again will only bring more failure. It tells you to stay where you are because at least the devil you know is better than the one you don't. And doubt doesn't shout, it whispers. It sneaks into your thoughts when you least expect it, planting tiny seeds of what if. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I try and fail? What if they're right about me? And before you know it, those seeds have grown into a forest so thick you can't see your way out. Then there's shame. Shame isn't just a feeling, it's a weight. It sits on your chest, making it hard to breathe. It wraps around your heart like a vine, squeezing tighter every time you remember a moment you wish you could erase. Shame doesn't just remind you of what you've done, it convinces you that you are what you've done. And let's not forget society, the unspoken rules, the expectations, the pressures. Shame is that other thing pushing you aside. Be this, do that, don't step out of line. Society loves to put people in boxes, to label you before you've even had a chance to define yourself. If you don't fit the mold, they'll try to break you to make you fit. And if you resist, they'll try to bury you. You've been told, directly or indirectly, that you're too much and not enough all at once. Too loud, too quiet, too soft, too hard, too ambitious, too complacent. They've criticized you for the things that make you unique and ignored the things that make you extraordinary. They've made you question every part of yourself, as if your very existence is a problem to be solved. And so you've learned to shrink, to fold yourself into smaller and smaller pieces until you barely take up any space at all. You've learned to silence your voice, to dim your light, to hide your pain, because the world doesn't know what to do with people who don't fit neatly into its expectations. I know you've cried yourself to sleep more times than you'd like to admit. I know you've stared at the ceiling in the middle of the night, wondering if it will always feel like this heaviness, this emptiness, this ache that never seems to go away. I know you've felt invisible, like the world is spinning around you, and you're just standing still, watching everyone else move forward while you're stuck in the same place. But let me tell you this, you're not alone. The struggles you carry, the pain you feel, the doubts that plague you, they're heavy, yes, but they're not unique to you. There's a shared humanity in suffering, a thread that connects us all. And while your pain is valid, while it deserves to be acknowledged, it does not define you. This is not where your story ends. Yes, you've walked through fire. Yes, you've been scarred. But those scars, they're proof that you survived. They're proof that even when the world tried to break you, it didn't succeed. And the villains, fear, doubt, shame, society, they're not as powerful as they seem. They want you to believe they have control over your story, but the truth is, they don't. You do. So let's start there, with the truth, with the undeniable, unshakable fact that you are more than your pain, more than your struggles, more than the lies you've been told. This is where you take the first step, not away from your scars, but toward them, because those scars aren't a reminder of your weakness, they're a reminder of your strength. And as for the villains, it's time to face them, one by one, step by step. It's time to dismantle their hold on you, because the flames they tried to burn you with, they didn't destroy you, they forged you. And now, it's your turn to rise. You are not your pain, you are not your struggles. You are the fire that survived them. You've been standing at the edge of a cliff, haven't you? Looking down into the darkness, feeling the weight of everything you've carried pulling you closer to the edge. It's not that you want to jump, you just don't know how much longer you can keep your footing. The world feels heavy. Every step you take feels like you're dragging a mountain behind you, and every breath feels like a battle. You wonder if it would be easier to just let the weight pull you under. You've stayed in the pain because it feels safer than the unknown. The pain is familiar. It's become your companion, your shadow, the constant hum in the background of your life. You've built a home in it, even though the walls are crumbling and the roof leaks every time it rains. It's not comfortable, but it's what you know. And the thought of leaving it, The thought of stepping into something new, something uncertain, it terrifies you. Because what if it's worse? What if you step out of the darkness and find that the light burns too brightly, that it exposes every crack, every flaw? I know how it feels. Like you're screaming underwater, your lungs bursting for air, but no one can hear you. Like you're running as fast as you can, but the finish line keeps moving further away. Like you're sinking into quicksand, and every time you try to pull yourself out, you just sink deeper. It's exhausting. It's suffocating. And it makes you want to give up. You've told yourself that if you just wait long enough, someone will come. Someone will reach down and pull you out of the pit. Someone will see you drowning and throw you a rope. But here's the thing about waiting. It keeps you stuck. The world keeps moving, the days keep passing, and you stay exactly where you are. And the longer you wait, the heavier the weight becomes, until one day you can't move at all. It's okay to feel broken. It's okay to cry. It's okay to mourn what you've lost, what you never had, what you thought you'd become. It's okay to feel anger, to feel sadness, to feel everything all at once. Because the truth is, you've been through hell. You've been hurt in ways that no one should ever have to endure. You've been abandoned, betrayed, silenced. And it's left you feeling hollow, like a shell of who you used to be. But here's the other truth. Staying in the pain won't heal you. You can sit in the ruins for as long as you want, staring at the pieces of what was, what could have been, what should have been. But the pieces won't put themselves back together. The longer you stay, the more the pain consumes you, until it becomes who you are instead of just what you've been through. I know how tempting it is to let the darkness take over, but to let the numbness wash over you like a wave, to close your eyes and pretend the world doesn't exist, because feeling nothing seems easier than feeling everything. But the numbness is a lie. It doesn't protect you, it traps you, it builds walls around you, not to keep the pain out, but to keep you locked inside. You might think you're protecting yourself by staying in the pain, by keeping people out, by carrying it all on your own. But the truth is, you're just digging the hole deeper. You're just giving the pain more power, more control. And every time you tell yourself you're not strong enough, not brave enough, not worthy enough, the pain tightens its grip. Let's be honest, you're scared. Scared of what it means to let go. Scared of who you'll be without the pain. Scared of trying and failing. Because failure isn't just falling short. It's proof, isn't it? Proof that they were right about you. That you're not enough. At least, that's what the fear tells you. But fear lies. Doubt lies. The pain lies. It tells you that this is all there is. That this is all you'll ever be. It tells you that the world doesn't care. That no one would notice if you disappeared. But that's not true. The world would notice. You would notice. Because deep down, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the pain, there's a part of you that still wants to fight. A part of you that refuses to give up, no matter how small it feels. I know it's hard to see right now. I know it feels like the darkness will never lift, like the weight will never ease, like the pain will never stop. But I promise you, this is not the end. The pain wants you to believe it's permanent, but it's not. It's a chapter, not the whole book. And as long as you're breathing, as long as your heart is beating, you have the power to turn the page. But first, you have to feel it. And you have to face it. You have to let yourself break. Because pretending you're okay when you're not, carrying the pain in silence, bearing it deeper and deeper, it doesn't make it go away, it just makes it harder to heal. So cry if you need to, scream if you need to, write it down, speak it out, let it out in whatever way you can, because the only way to move through the pain is to move through it. Not around it, not over it, but through it. And when you're ready, when you've let yourself feel it, mourn it, release it, that's when you'll find the strength to rise. Not all at once, not in one giant leap, but step by step, piece by piece. Right now, it feels like despair is all there is. Like the light at the end of the tunnel is just a cruel illusion. But I need you to trust me on this. The light is there, and it's waiting for you to find it. This is the low point, the moment when everything feels lost, but it's also the moment when everything can change. Because the deeper the despair, the stronger the foundation for your rise. Take this moment. Feel it. Sit in the silence, the stillness, the weight of it all. Let yourself break if you need to. Because breaking is not the end, it's the beginning. The story is far from over. There's a moment in every story when the tide begins to turn. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It's quiet at first, a whisper instead of a roar. And it starts right here, right now, with one simple truth. You have the power to rebuild. What they don't know, what even you might not know, is this. The ruins they left behind, they're not the end, they're the beginning. Because ruins aren't just reminders of what's been destroyed. They're the foundations upon which something greater can be built. Stronger, unshakable, unbreakable. Look at your scars. Every single one tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival. They are the evidence of every battle you've fought and every storm you've endured. They're not marks of shame, they're badges of honor. They don't define your pain, they define your strength. Every scar is a map of where you've been and proof that you've made it through. I know what you're thinking. I can hear the voice in your head whispering, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not ready. But let me tell you something. That voice, it's wrong. You've always been strong enough. You've always been ready. It's not a question of whether you can, it's a question of whether you will. Here's the truth. You don't have to feel strong to start. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Resilience isn't built in a single moment. It's built brick by brick, step by step, decision by decision. It's not about leaping into greatness. It's about choosing, every single day, to rise. It starts with self-reflection. Take a moment to look within, not at the version of yourself they told you to be, not at the version you've pretended to be, but at the real you, the raw, unpolished, messy, beautiful you. That person, they're worth fighting for. They've been waiting, buried under the weight of everything you've been through, but they're still there. And they're ready to rise, reclaim your story, take back the narrative they tried to write for you. The one that said you weren't enough, the one that said you'd never make it, never heal, never grow. Rip it apart, word by word, and start writing a new story. One where you're not the victim, but the victor. One where the pain doesn't define you, but fuels you. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from strength. Everything you've been through, everything you've survived, has prepared you for this moment. The nights you cried yourself to sleep, the days you felt invisible, the moments you thought you couldn't go on, they weren't the end. They were the training ground for your resilience. They were shaping you, molding you, preparing you for the person you're about to become. And let's talk about doubt. It's loud, isn't it? It has a way of drowning out everything else, convincing you that failure is inevitable, that trying isn't worth the risk. But here's what doubt doesn't want you to know. It's afraid of you. Because every time you take a step forward, every time you push through the fear, every time you refuse to give up, you weaken its grip. Doubt only has power if you let it. So don't let it. The same goes for fear. Fear is a thief. It steals your time, your energy, your potential, but it only has as much power as you give it. Fear thrives in the shadows, but the moment you bring it into the light, it begins to shrink. Name it, face it, and then walk through it. Because on the other side of fear is everything you've been searching for. This is where you begin to fight, not with your fists, but with your choices. The choice to let go of what's holding you back, the choice to forgive, not for them, but for you. The choice to believe that you are worthy of healing, of growth, of happiness. And let's be clear, this fight isn't about perfection. It's not about never falling or never doubting yourself again. It's about getting back up every time you fall. It's about holding on to hope even when it feels like a fragile thread. It's about refusing to let the past dictate your future. You're gonna stumble. You're gonna have days when the weight feels unbearable, when the old voices creep back in, when the scars ache like they're fresh. That's okay. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. You might revisit old pain, but you won't stay there. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And as you rebuild, remember this: you don't have to do it alone. Resilience doesn't mean isolation. It's okay to ask for help, to lean on others, to let people in. The strongest structures are built with support, with connection, with a foundation that doesn't rely on a single stone to hold it all together. Piece by piece, you'll rebuild. Not the way things were before, but better, stronger. The cracks will remain, but they won't weaken you. They'll be filled with gold. They'll be a testament to your resilience, your courage, your refusal to give up. This is the turning point. The moment you stop waiting for someone to save you and realize you've had the power all along. The moment you take the first step, no matter how small, toward the life you deserve. So ask yourself this: are you ready? Ready to stop surviving and start thriving? Ready to rise from the ruins and build something that can't be broken? Crumbs up, Bob. Everybody has boldness. Only you have the courage to stand up. This essence of you stands out of the ruins, ready to rise from the ruins and build something that can't be broken. Because you can. You've always been able to. And now is the time to prove it. Not to them, but to yourself. This is where the story changes. This is where you rise. There comes a moment in every battle, in every storm, when the winds begin to shift. You can feel it in your chest, in your bones, in the very air around you. It's not loud, it's quiet, subtle, but it's there, and that moment is here. You've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for someone to notice, to care, to reach out and pull you from the wreckage, waiting for a savior to walk into the darkness and lead you back to the light. But the truth that changes everything, is this: you've had the power all along. Let that sink in for a moment. Everything you've needed, everything you've been searching for has been inside you this whole time. You've carried it with you through the storms, through the fire, through the ruins. They tried to break you, but they didn't know. Your strength doesn't come from them, it comes from within. So now, I ask you, are you going to stay on your knees, or are you going to rise? Are you going to let them win, or are you going to build something they can never destroy? Are you going to believe the lies they told you, or are you going to rewrite the truth? Because they thought they buried you, didn't they? They thought they'd silenced you, erased you, left you for dead. But they didn't realize. You weren't buried, you were planted. And now it's time to grow. You are not the person you were when this began. The fire didn't consume you, it forged you. The storms didn't drown you, they strengthened your roots. The pain didn't break you, it built you. And now you stand here, not as a victim of your story, but as the author of it. They wanted you to stay small, to stay quiet, to stay broken. But you are none of those things. You are vast, you are loud, you are whole. And every step you take forward is a declaration of your power, a reminder that you are unstoppable. Look back at the path you've walked. Look at the scars, the battles, the heartbreak. Every single moment led you here. Every single trial was a lesson, a step, a building block. They thought they were destroying you, but all they were doing was giving you the tools to build. And build you will. Build a life that is bigger, bolder, brighter than they ever imagined for you. Build a fortress out of the ruins, a kingdom out of the ashes. Build something that cannot be shaken, cannot be taken, cannot be torn down. But here's the thing. This isn't about proving them wrong. This isn't about revenge, about showing them what they missed, about making them see your worth. No, this is about proving yourself right. This is about looking in the mirror and seeing the person you've always been, the person they tried to make you forget. This is about reclaiming yourself. So ask yourself again, are you ready? Ready to rise, to fight, to build? Ready to leave behind the fear, the doubt, the shame, and step into the power that's been waiting for you all along? Because this is the moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. This is the moment you decide who you are, not who they said you were, not who you thought you had to be, but who you truly are. And who are you? You are strong, you are resilient, you are unbreakable. You are the fire that refused to go out. You are the seed that grew through the cracks. You are the warrior who fought battles no one else could see and won. They tried to bury you, they tried to silence you, they tried to erase you. But all they did was awaken something they couldn't control. And now you rise. Let the world see you. Let them hear you. Let them feel the weight of your strength, the force of your power, the beauty of your light. You are not small, you are not weak, you are not broken. You are a fortress, a mountain, a force of nature. This is the turning point. The moment the tide shifts, the moment you step into your power, the moment everything changes. This is where your story takes flight, where you stop surviving and start thriving, where you stop doubting and start believing. So rise. Rise from the ashes, rise from the ruins, rise from the lies, the pain, the doubt. Rise, not because they expect it, but because you demand it. Rise because you can. Rise because you must. Rise because the world needs your light, your strength, your story. This is your moment. This is your awakening. This is your rise. Here we are, the moment where all the words, all the stories, all the truths come together into a single question. What will you do now? Because you have a choice right here, right now. You stand at a crossroads. You can stay where you are, clinging to the pain, the doubt, the fear. Or you can take everything you've been through, the struggles, the heartbreak, the lessons, and use it to build. You have the pieces, the broken shards, the jagged edges, the cracks. They're all here. Maybe they don't look like much right now. Maybe they look like a pile of rubble, too broken to ever amount to anything. But I need you to see something. The pieces are not the end. They are the beginning. They are the foundation. Yes, the cracks in your armor are there. But do you know what else they are? They are in pieces. They are messy. You can love them all, and maybe even want to hold them all. But they're where the light gets in. They're the proof that you've lived, that you've fought, that you've survived. And those cracks, they're not weaknesses. They're opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to shine, to let the light pour through and illuminate everything you're capable of. So now it's time to build. Brick by brick, step by step, choice by choice. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to know what the finished masterpiece will look like. You just need to start. The roadmap to moving forward. 1. Let go of past pain. This is the hardest step, isn't it? Letting go of the pain, the anger, the resentment. It's tempting to hold on to it because it feels like power, like control. The truth is it's only holding you back. It's chaining you to the past, keeping you from stepping into your future. Let go, not for them, but for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you forget. It means you refuse to let it control you any longer. It means you're reclaiming the energy you've spent carrying the weight of it all. 2. Use lessons learned as tools for growth. Every experience, every scar, every battle you've fought has taught you something. It's shown you your strength, your resilience, your ability to endure. It's given you tools you might not have chosen, but tools you can use nonetheless. Think about what you've learned. Patience, courage, empathy, the ability to stand back up after falling. These are your weapons, your tools, your building blocks. Use them. 3. Embrace the future with strength and determination. The past doesn't define you. It's a part of your story, yes, but it's not the whole story. The rest of your life is unwritten, and you hold the pen. Embrace the unknown, not with fear, but with determination. The future isn't something to dread, it's something to create. It won't be perfect. There will still be challenges, still be struggles, still be moments that test you. But now you know something you didn't before, you can handle it. You've already survived your worst days. The future is yours to claim. Not in the shadows, not in the background, but in full, blinding light. This is the moment you step into your power and declare, I am unbreakable. I am unstoppable. I am enough. They thought they broke you. They thought they buried you. But what they didn't realize is that they gave you the tools to build something extraordinary. A life that is bold, brave, and unapologetically yours. So what will you do now? Will you let their story stand, or will you write your own? Will you stay in the ruins, or will you build a fortress so strong it becomes your legacy? The choice is yours. It always has been. And when you rise, because you will rise, don't rise quietly. Rise with a roar. Rise with the force of every battle you've fought, every storm you've survived, every piece of yourself you've reclaimed. Rise, not for their approval, but for your own liberation. You have the pieces, now build. Because they thought they broke you, but all they did was forge your strength. They thought they buried you, but they didn't know you were a seed. Now it's your time to grow. It's your time to rise.